Hi guys, welcome to my first ASMR self-spoken yoga video. This will be a stretch video, so whenever you're ready, let's meet on the mat in an easy pose position. This is a simple crisscross leg position. You would just sit on the mat with your right shin in front of your left shin or your left shin in front of your right shin. As you get comfortable here, start to roll the shoulders away from your ears so that your shoulder blades are sliding down your back. Get comfortable here and we'll begin to focus on our breathing. Start to exhale all your air out. You can make an SH sound here. It really helps to empty the lungs. So SH as in shh. Make sure that your back is straight. You can roll your shoulders here, get more comfortable, turn your head left, right, shake it yes, shake it no. Get comfortable here. And when you're ready, you can place your left hand down to the mat, and on an inhale, lift the right hand up and over so that the right bicep is hovering over the right ear. And then when you're ready, you can place your right hand back to the mat, and then on an inhale, lift your left hand up, going for that stretch on the left hand side. When you're ready, you can bring your left hand behind you, lift the right arm up, place it on the left knee, and begin to twist towards the left side of the room. And then when you're ready, you can come back to center and plant the right hand behind you, lifting up through the left hand side and placing the left hand on the right knee to stretch towards the right hand side. You can lift the left hand up off the knee just to make sure that you're not putting all your weight on your knee and making sure that you're twisting naturally. And when you're ready, you can come back to center, going for those neck rolls again, shoulder rolls, whatever feels comfortable for you in this moment. And when you're ready, you can begin to lift the right foot up and gently place it on the area where the thigh and the knee meet for half lotus pose. Again, you can roll your shoulders here, get comfortable, make sure that your spine is straight in this pose. You can bring your hands to your knees, come to a meditative state. You can set an intention for your practice. Do whatever feels good for you here. And then when you're ready, come to a tabletop position, making sure that your knees are stacked underneath your hips and your wrists are stacked underneath your shoulders. Start to come into a cat-cow here on an inhale, arching your spine, lifting your chin up, looking towards the ceiling. On an exhale, start to round the spine, bringing the chin into your chest, hollowing out your stomach to round the back. You can go through these movements multiple times here until you've had your fill. Again, this practice is for you. I'm just guiding you through it. Remember to connect with your breath, taking deep inhales and deep exhales. And then when you're ready, on an inhale, begin to lift the right arm up, making sure that you're stretching inside that entire right side body. And then begin to thread your right arm underneath the left arm so that you're resting your shoulder and your head on the mat and stretching your back here before coming back to center. And on an inhale, lift your left arm up and begin to thread it through on the right hand side. Take breaths here. Breathe, allowing yourself to feel these postures before coming back to center. You can start to roll your ankles here, allowing yourself to feel the stretch before starting to roll your wrists. Then place both hands back on the mat. Walk your knees out wide and start to push your hips back. And the goal here is to get the tailbone to kind of touch the heels of the feet. This is extended child's pose, so you stretch your arms long out in front of you. If extended child's pose is not in your practice, you can go for the traditional child's pose, bringing your knees together until they touch and allowing your stomach to rest on the top of your thighs and bringing your arms by your side. Connect with your breath here again. Whatever variation you choose, make sure that you're still connected to your breath, taking deep inhales and deep exhales. You can start to really connect with the mind here, your thoughts. Allow them to come and go. Acknowledge them, thank them, and then send them on their way. And then when you're ready, you can come back to a tabletop position. Begin to lift the right leg up and step it on through to the front of the mat. You can walk your feet a little bit closer to center here. Walking the back leg a little bit back before bringing the tops of the toes down to the mat. And you can find a low lunge here. If you need to walk your front foot out a little bit more, it's for balance, you definitely can do so. You can choose to keep your hands at heart center or bring your hands to your hips. And then when you're ready, plant the left hand down, lift the right arm up for a stretch. This is definitely a hip opener here, so if you're feeling a little uncomfy in the hips, you can ease on out of it and come back to it whenever you're ready. And then begin to bring the right hand on the inside of the right foot and lift up on the left hand side, keeping your gaze on the left hand. And when you're ready, you can come back to center. Can push your hips back and straighten the front leg so that you can get a nice hammy stretch here. Make sure to pay attention to that back foot. Make sure that it's straight and in alignment with your hips. You can start to push forward and pull back here. Push forward, pulling back, moving in a sort of pulse-like movement, but taking as much time as you need here. And then when you're ready, you can plant both hands and slowly bring the back foot back, come into a tabletop position. On your next inhale, lift the right leg up and step it to the front of the mat. You can walk your feet out if it feels better. Plant that back foot down to the mat and start to push forward with your hips so that the tops of the right thighs are getting closer and closer to the mat. Again, you can bring your hands to heart center in a prayer position here, or you can bring them to your hips if you need help balancing. Connect with the breath here, taking deep inhales and deep exhales. If you need to walk out a little bit more, please go ahead and do so. But when you're ready, plant the left hand down to the mat and open up on the right hand side. And then plant the right hand down and open up on the left hand side, going for that twist. Making sure to connect with the breath before planting the hands to frame the left foot and pushing the hips back to stretch your left hammy here. Make sure to keep the back leg centered so that you're not jutting out to one side unevenly with your hips. And then when you're ready, you can start to go for those pulses where you're pushing forward with your hips and then pulling back with your hips as well. Then you can bring the left foot back and come into a tabletop position. Start to do what feels good here. For me, it's rolling my shoulders. I hold a lot of tension in my shoulders. So I'm trying to come to a comfortable position again with my body before swinging my feet out and coming to a seated position on the mat. Start to elongate your legs long out in front of you. Inhale, lift the arms up, bringing the biceps by the ears. Inhale, look up. Exhale, forward fold, reaching for the feet. If you can't touch your toes here, that is quite all right. You can bend your knees until you touch your toes. If that's not your main focus in this class, don't worry. Just reach for whatever you can reach. Right now, all you should be focusing on is the back stretch. If it feels good, you can bring your toes together. Roll the shoulders away from your ears. Again, connecting with your breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Then when you're ready, start to find a reclined position. Start to lift both legs up in the air. You can go for some pulses here, reaching for the toes. And then when you're ready, grab a hold of the right leg and start to slowly lower down the left leg to the mat. Start to bend that right leg, lift the left leg up off the mat, keep it bent, and rest the right foot on top of the left knee. Interlace your hands on the back of the left thigh. This is a figure 4 pose. If you're not feeling the stretch here in your hips, because this is a hip opener, you can start to slowly bring your legs closer to your chest. Breathe deep here, inhaling and exhaling. Start to unravel your legs, straighten them out, and slowly bring the right leg down to the mat as you grab a hold of the left leg. We're going to bend it here and then lift that right leg off the floor. Gently place the left foot on top of the right knee. Interlace the hands behind the right thigh and find figure 4 on the left hand side. Make sure to stay connected with your breath. And if you're not feeling the stretch, you can slowly start to bring the legs closer to your chest. And this time, when we get up out of this pose, keep both knees bent and in the air. Start to open it wide and start to grab the inside of your feet with your hands for happy baby. You can rock back and forth here. Then when you're ready, start to elongate your legs if you can. You can stretch them out wide before bringing them back to center. And then start to alternate what legs you choose to elongate to maximize your hammy stretch. And then once you're ready, you can bring the bottoms of the feet to touch and slowly start to lower them down to the mat for goddess pose. You can choose to keep your hands on your tummy here, or you can lay them by your side, palms open. Use this posture as a great way to connect with your breath, inhaling and exhaling. Start to come back to that intention that you might have set at the beginning of class. Make sure you are taking slow, deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, rock yourself up onto a sitting position. And swing your legs out to the side and come to a tabletop position. Start to slowly slide your knees out to the side for frog pose. Make sure that your feet are flexed. It's best to start this position on your forearms for most people, but if this is not comfortable, you can prop yourself up on your hands, making sure to put the pressure on the area in between your thumb and index finger. Frog requires a lot of breath work because it can be very uncomfortable for some people. The goal for first timers would be to take 3 to 5 breaths, but if you feel like you physically can't do that, that is okay. You can take as many breaths as you can before getting out of it. And if you don't feel like getting back into it once you get out of it, that's okay too. This is your practice. Do what feels good for you. If you're feeling frisky and you want to try on your forearms, you can definitely do that. Or if you want to try laying all the way down on your chest, that's also welcome to you as well. Just know your limits and don't push yourself too far. If you feel like you can't stay in this pose for long and you're looking for an alternative posture, you can calmly get into either an extended child's pose or a child's pose, whichever fits in your practice today. And just connect with your breath and come back to that intention you set to keep your mind focused on this present practice. This sequence is really good if you are feeling overwhelmed. I happen to have anxiety, so the day I filmed this, I was having a really bad day, and I just got on the mat and it made me feel so much better after I was done. Just taking time to reset yourself, come and connect with yourself, and just taking that time to breathe. We often don't breathe a lot throughout our day, so this can be very helpful if you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, anxious, worried, because you're connecting with your breath here and slowing down and taking stock of how you're feeling and how that can affect your mood. If you're still in child's pose, start to bring your knees closer together until they're about as wide as the mat. You can find an extended child's pose here by pushing your hips back until your tailbone is hovering over the tops of your feet, extending your arms long out in front of you. If extended child's pose is not your thing, you can move your feet closer together until they touch and bring your forehead to the mat while bringing your hands behind you, palms faced up. When you're ready, you can start to come back to a tabletop position by pushing your hips back. You can swing your legs aside and come into a seating position to come back into easy pose. This is going to be the last pose of this sequence, so make sure to take stock of your breath. Remember that intention you set and thank yourself for showing up to this practice. Namaste.